When you see commercials on TV, they just kind of seem to come and go. You'll see one for a while, and then it's just gone. And most of the time, people don't even realize it. Because besides the Super Bowl, most people don't watch TV for the commercials. Sometimes though, they become a hit because they're funny or interesting. Companies will sometimes bring these commercials back because of them being fan favorites. But there are a few commercials that somehow lasted a really long time. Some of them have good reasons, and others it's pretty mysterious. In this video, I'm going to take a look at some of the longest running commercials and investigate why some of them lasted for so long. The longest running commercial of all time is a 1976 ad by Discount Tire Company. It's just a 10-second commercial, and in it, an old lady is seen walking up to a discount tire store. Then she tosses a tire through the window, breaking the glass. A narrator says that if you're not satisfied with one of their tires, to return it. The commercial was filmed in the Phoenix, Arizona area in 1975, and was filmed at the Metro Center location, which is still around today. The ad was created by Robert Natkin, who had an ad agency in Scottsdale. He worked with Discount Tire founder Bruce Haley to come up with the idea, and the commercial was only 10 seconds long, because that's all that Haley could afford at the time. Luckily, the commercial ended up being a massive success. It was short, to the point, and funny, and the surprise of an old lady throwing a tire through a window also makes it memorable. It was a bold move for them to tell customers to feel free to return tires if they don't like them, while showing somebody actually smashing the store windows. Of course, it's obvious that they don't really mean that, but in the 1980s, one angry customer in Michigan took it literal. He was upset after getting 2 flat tires, and was said to be determined to do it. So the manager cleared everyone out of the store, and the man then tossed the tire through the window, breaking it. But the commercial was such a hit that they just never took it off the air. After Discount Tire Company got more and more successful, they've created many newer commercials, but they still have kept the famous 10-second commercial in some markets, even to this day. I personally remember seeing this commercial occasionally as a kid, and I could tell that it was old. I haven't seen it in many years, but apparently it's still on in some markets. Another very old commercial that ran for many years was a Tootsie Pop commercial. This one is a classic called How Many Licks, and it asks the question of how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. The commercial is a cartoon, and a boy is talking to an owl asking him the question. This ad first aired in 1970, which makes it older than the Discount Tire commercial. However, this commercial has been edited several times, and it was originally 60 seconds. There's a 30-second version as well as a 15-second version. A new one was also made and aired briefly in 2000, but they later aired the original short ones again. In the first version, a boy asks a cow, fox, turtle, and the owl how many licks it would take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. And it's been on and off the air since it came out, and some people have said to have seen it as recently as last year. And to answer the question from the commercial, it takes an average of 365 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. There are a couple more very well-known classic commercials that are seasonal. One would be the Christmas Hershey's Kiss commercial. Each year, around December, Hershey's Kisses airs a commercial that is 15 seconds long. You see a bunch of Hershey's Kisses seemingly acting as bells in a choir, playing the song We Wish You a Merry Christmas. The commercial is called Christmas Bells, and it first came out back in 1989. It was first done using stop-motion animation. However, this commercial was redone in 2012 using CGI animation, and also redoing the sound. But overall, the ad is still pretty much the same. The commercial is still played each year for the Christmas season. Because it's such a simple ad, and also seasonal, it never really gets old, and most people seem to enjoy seeing it year after year. Another seasonal ad similar to this is the Christmas M&ms commercial. This one is known as the Faint commercial or the They Do Exist commercial. In the advertisement, the yellow and red M&ms are walking by the Christmas tree in the living room to leave out M&ms for Santa. Santa is also in the room to deliver presents. The characters run into each other and can't believe that the others exist, and the red M&m and Santa both faint. It's a 15-second ad, and it first aired back in 1996. The yellow M&m is voiced by J.K. Simmons, and the red one is voiced by Billy West. When the commercial still plays, you can tell that it's old because it's in a square format and not widescreen like things have been since the late 2000s. Some slight changes have been made over the years to the commercial. Mostly just the words at the end of it though. A newer M&ms logo on the screen was updated, and from 2004 to 2005 it said, "Chocolate is better in green and red" at the end. But for the most part, this commercial still comes on each year and is exactly the same. There are some other commercials that are not quite as famous, but have been airing for a very long time. Corona has a Christmas ad that was made in 1990 and still airs each season. It's very simple and shows a palm tree with Christmas lights with somebody whistling in the background. In 1993, Campbell's had a seasonal ad called Melting Snowman, where a snowman comes in and has some soup. When eating the soup, he melts and under the slush is a boy. This ad was on until just a few years ago, with a run of nearly 30 years. And for Easter, the Cadbury Bunny Tryouts commercial first aired in 1994 and has been on ever since. However, there have been small changes made over the years, updating logos and information at the end. Now, every commercial that we've looked at so far has had a pretty good reason for being on the air for so long. Most of them are short, to the point, and either really funny, charming, or creative, causing them to be fan favorites. The ones that are seasonal are easy to keep for a long time as well, because they only air for 1 or 2 months out of the year, so people won't get tired of it. Plus, it becomes a holiday tradition, which is something that many people like. But there are a few commercials that I've seen in recent years that really confuse me how they lasted for so long.
The sun used to make our outdoor deck and patio space so hot and uncomfortable we couldn't use it.
But then we discovered the Sunsetter retractable awning.
The first one is the Sunsetter retractable awning commercial. If you watched TV much in the late 2000s and early to mid 2010s, you probably saw it at some point. Many times it seemed to be on particularly late at night. I know that I saw it probably 100 times at least. The commercial is for awnings that go on your patio or outdoor space. They create shade and protection against the sun's harmful rays. It makes it more cool and comfortable to be outside in warm sunny weather. In the commercial, it shows a man and a woman who are outside enjoying their sunsetter and giving you information about it. The original commercial was 2 minutes long, but there were several shortened versions, with the shortest being 30 seconds long. The commercial is not intended to be funny or flashy or anything like that. It pretty much just gives you the information about the product and shows how it can be used. This commercial ran for many years on many different channels in all parts of the country. I remember that it just seemed so random that this old commercial would still be on, and it would never seem to be on during popular primetime shows or sporting events. It would be on less popular channels or late at night. This added to the mysteriousness of it. Now, I haven't seen this commercial on TV in years, but allegedly somebody saw it about a year ago. But the last confirmed time that it widely ran on air was 2019. It always seemed mysterious as to why the commercial was on TV if it was so old and outdated. So exactly how old is it, and what's the real story behind it? The Sunsetter commercial first aired back in 2005. It was filmed in Winter Garden, Florida in late 2004. The Sunsetter company was founded in 1988 and had previous commercials before 2005. They are very successful in the awning business, and when they wanted to film a new TV ad, they hired Jerry Roach to write it and Jeanne Suggs to direct. As for the actors, the man in the commercial is David Dodd, who uses the on-air name of David Jones, and the woman is played by Shauna Bartel. David Jones has been in many commercials over the years, and before that he got his start in acting on a kids show called David D TV. It aired on a Tampa TV affiliate on Saturday mornings. He went on to become a pitchman on TV, appearing or lending his voice to many commercials. But most notably, he's been on the radio in Tampa for many years, and is currently on a show called Jones & Company. And this makes sense because when you listen to the commercial, he has a good voice for radio. Shauna Bartel has been acting for many years, and has appeared in many commercials and productions. Here she is in a major role in a movie called The Touch, which also came out in 2005. She also owns and teaches at an acting studio which she started in 2004. Both Jones and Bartel have gotten paid the entire time the commercial was airing, so they made money for a long time off of it. How much exactly, I have no idea though. Most of the time that the commercial has been airing, Sunsetter bought commercial time on remnant advertising. What this means is that TV channels will sell airtime directly to advertisers in advance. The first slots are obviously the most popular times which have the most viewers. Well, anything that doesn't sell, at the last minute it will be bought at a discounted rate by a third party. This third party has an inventory of commercials from companies that have contacted them and chose to advertise with them. This means that the companies don't know exactly where or when their commercials will be on, but they know that they will be at some point, and it's much cheaper doing it that way. So that's why the Sunsetter commercials were on many different channels, often late at night. Now, going back to 2005, when the commercial was first filmed and started airing, it probably seemed pretty normal. And it proved to be successful as well, helping the company sell more awnings. A few years after the original commercial came out, Sunsetter released new motorized awnings so that you could open and close them with a remote. Because of this, they decided to film a new commercial. It would be a chance to update the old ad as well, which was a few years old now. They used all the same people for the production and did it again. The same actors and everything, but it just wasn't as good. I looked around but could not find this commercial anywhere, and it's unclear when exactly or if this commercial even made it to TV. They did end up using the clip of Shauna using the remote to open the Sunsetter, and they added that small part into the old commercial. They also added David's voice talking about the new features and showed them. But they just added those small things to the already existing commercial. And along with those updates came updated prices over the years. In the original commercial, you can see and hear David say that you can get the Sunsetter for as little as $398.
But now you can get your Sunsetter for as little as $398 when you call now to get this special $200 discount certificate.
Later, it was dubbed over and changed to $499.
But now you can get your Sunsetter for as little as $499 when you call now to get this special $200 discount certificate.
But you can tell that the sound was off there. And then, years later, it was raised and dubbed over again to $599.
But now you can get your Sunsetter for as little as $599 when you call now to get this special $200 discount certificate.
Another thing that I would notice in the Sunsetter commercial when I watched it back in the day was the tea. I always thought that it looked strange. The truth is that it was normal iced tea, but they filmed it on a very hot day, and the tea had lots of ice in it. So as the day went on and the ice melted, it watered down the tea to give it the color that you saw. You can see here how the tea was supposed to look. Over the years, this one commercial was just always the best. Sunsetter started filming new commercials and comparing them with the old one. But every time they looked at the numbers, the old commercial was far more successful in selling their awnings. They even did pretty much an exact carbon copy remake of the original in 2017.
The sun used to make our outdoor patio space so hot and uncomfortable, we couldn't even use it.
Then we discovered the Sunsetter retractable awning.
Word for word, it was mostly the same, except with different actors and everything being new and updated. The new actors were even wearing basically the same clothes that the old ones were, but once again, it did not perform as well as the old one. So at some point, you have to think that being old and outdated ended up helping the commercial. People would see how old it looked and it would grab your attention by wondering how and why it was still on TV. It stood out instead of just blending in with every other advertisement. So that basically answers the question as to why it was on TV for so long. It just worked better than any other commercial they did. The real question would be, why is this commercial better and liked more than the others? Personally, I think it's just because it's a great all-around commercial. They didn't try too hard to be clever or funny, and just showed a nice couple enjoying their Sunsetter. The commercial has an overall relaxing and happy feel to it, and the people seem friendly, and I think that it just makes people feel good. But there is one other commercial that I want to look at, and this one is actually still on TV today. It's for WalkFit orthotics, and this is actually not just a commercial, but an infomercial. I remember that not long ago, I saw this infomercial on Fox, which is one of the most popular TV channels. I've heard of several other people seeing it on various other channels around the country, and I couldn't believe that it was still on TV. The funny thing is that I remember seeing this very same infomercial probably almost 10 years ago, and when I saw it then, I was thinking that it looked really old. So if it looked old back then, imagine how it looks today. Anyways, WalkFit Platinum orthotics are inserts that you put into your shoes. They help align the body and relieve foot pain as well as other pain caused by bad alignment. This particular infomercial first aired all the way back in 2008. Overall, it's a pretty solid infomercial, but when you watch it today, it's very clearly outdated. This was actually the third WalkFit infomercial though. The first one came out back in 2001, but was under the name Phase 4 Orthotics. Stuart Pankin, Mimi Umadon, and Dr. Alan Sellner are together in this one as the hosts, demonstrating the orthotics. Breaks in this by showing customers talking about the orthotics and other ways of advertising them. Several years later, in 2004, a second infomercial was made, this time called WalkFit by Phase 4. This infomercial was filmed in front of a live audience and was outside in Hollywood, California. The theme for it was the WalkFit Across America tour, where they interviewed people around America who used WalkFit. So 4 years later, in 2008, brings us to the third WalkFit infomercial, which was now called WalkFit Platinum. It starts with an introduction of the product and some customers talking about it. Then you see hosts Mimi Umadon and Stuart Pankin, as well as Dr. Alan Sellner. Mimi Umadon is well known for her work in infomercials in the 90s and the 2000s. She's appeared in quite a few, with her most well-known ones probably being the series of Magic Bullet infomercials. Stuart Pankin is a very successful actor who's appeared in countless movies and TV shows. Just some of the things that he's been in were Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, Not Necessarily the News, Fatal Attraction, Xenon, Dinosaurs, and many more. Dr. Alan Sellner is a podiatry specialist who brings a lot of expert knowledge to the show. The three hosts come out onto a stage at the Mall of America in Minnesota and give a presentation in front of a live audience. The infomercial is a mix of segments that were filmed live at the mall demonstrating and other segments such as customers talking about their experiences with the WalkFit. It looks like they got a great crowd at the Mall of America for their presentation, and they chose the mall to film because of how much walking is done there. One thing they do in the infomercial is the famous balance test, where Stuart Pankin tests people's balance with and without the insoles on their feet, and the insoles win every time. They go back and forth between things like this, customers talking about it, and them being live at the mall. But after looking at this infomercial online, it appears that the audience members were actors. I'm not sure if they all were or just some of them. But one thing there's no getting around is that this infomercial looks extremely outdated today. There are a few changes that have been made to the original to make it look less dated though. For one, in the beginning, they say it's 2008 up on the screen. In current versions of the infomercial today, they changed it to just say now. In another part where they're showing the price of an expensive shoe insert, it says purchased in 07. That's also taken out. Some small other parts and some of the information such as the phone number were also updated. But when you go to the website, it's still up and running and you're still able to purchase WalkFits. It's changed a lot over the years, but it's still relatively the same. They've changed their logo, but in the infomercial they still have the old one. It seems as though they just never made a new commercial, so they just continue to play the same one. And they definitely put a lot of time and effort into it. They even had a WalkFit microphone. They made some small changes like I mentioned before, but other than that, this infomercial still gets the information across that they want people to know about the product. And it's at the point now that when it comes on TV, people are going to notice it for being so old, so they might as well keep using it. There's really no great information to find out why exactly this infomercial is still on though. There's many possibilities. It's a lot of time and money to produce an infomercial, especially one that could be better than the one they made at the Mall of America. So they might just feel that this is the best way to sell the product still. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.